Welcome to a new episode of the 90s Metal Gamer, where we stay hydrated and play video games. I'm quite certain that 90% of the people that clicked on this video have played any of the God of War games. If not, then you have at least heard of it. For me, I was introduced to the God of War series in 2010, and the very first God of War game that I played was God of War 3 on the PS3. Since then, I have gone back and I have played every single mainline God of War game there is, with the exception of Betrayal. That was a mobile exclusive game. But according to IGN, it gets a score of 9 out of 10, and from the outside looking in, I would say that is pretty good. In case you've been living under a rock, allow me to briefly explain exactly what God of War is. These days, God of War is a semi-open world game with RPG elements. But before that, it was a glorious, gory hack and slash game. And it was filled with so much sex and violence that it makes Grand Theft Auto look like Sesame Street. Now, I'm not trying to downplay the GTA series because I love the GTA series just as much as I love the God of War series. To sum up the entire God of War series prior to 2018, it is the story of a man who is literally too angry to die. And also he wants revenge. In case you haven't figured it out by now, this video is going to be a casual review of God of War 3. But this is not the PS3 version of God of War 3. This is the remastered edition of God of War 3. It was released July 14th, 2015 on the PS4. And I have to say, the quality of life improvements of the game are phenomenal. Considering this is a casual review video, I must iterate that I did not complete this game to 100% and I played on the easiest difficulty, because that is how I like to play my games. I enjoy them that way. I am also not a completionist. Speaking of the completionist, what a shame. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Over the course of this review, we're going to go over the story, the gameplay, the presentation, and the music. And then we'll wrap it all up with a water score. Cue the channel intro.
And then the Lord said,
I want to see your tiny head.
Before I get into this review video, I want to talk a little bit about the history of the God of War series and how and why it transitioned from a hack and slash gore fest to a semi-open world game with RPG elements. Beginning with the very first God of War game that was released in 2005 on the PS2, every single God of War game was a hack and slash gore fest. These titles include God of War 1, 2, Betrayal, Chains of Olympus, 3, Ghost of Sparta, and Ascension. On that note of Ascension, I actually made a casual review video over that game. I'll link it in the end card of this video. According to an interview article on GameSpot.com, Cory Barlog states, and I quote, "I didn't want to change it for the sake of changing it. I wanted to reflect how all of us have grown up. What we play is different, because God of War is a reflection of what we play, right?" That quote made me feel some type of way, and I have to agree with Cory on this one. In order for God of War to remain relevant for as long as it has been, it had to evolve with its audience. I started gaming at a very young age, and it all began with Sonic the Hedgehog 2. The Sonic franchise has had its fair share of ups and downs. Arguably, the lowest point would have to be Sonic 06. And in this case of God of War, in my own humble opinion, it would have to be Ascension. Ascension was released in 2013, and I feel like at that point in the franchise's life, it had reached a stalemate. And here is what I mean by that. The God of War franchise has been the same hack and slash gore fest since 2005 all the way up to 2013. And at that point, it was time for a refresh. Enter God of War 2018. If you have played this game, then you already know. God of War 2018 and Ragnarok play very similar to each other in a sense that there was more focus on the story as opposed to the combat. Now don't get me wrong, the combat system in the Norse mythology chapters are equally as amazing as you remember the OG God of War games. Personally, I feel like they just added sugar and sprinkles to the new games just to make them look a little prettier. And they hit the mark if you ask me. The new God of War games feel more like movies than anything else. Now if you ask me, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But of course, everybody's going to have their own opinion on it. As a matter of fact, I would love to hear your opinion on the new God of War games. What do you think of them? And that, my friends, is a brief history of the God of War franchise. We're going to go ahead and get into this review. We'll start with the story. Most of you already know what I'm about to say. I suck at storytelling, so I'm going to let the game tell the story for me. Enjoy.
My vengeance ends now. My brothers, we were forged in victory. A victory that ended the Great War and brought forth the reign of Mount Olympus. Born from the depths of the underworld, rooted in the river of souls, our mountain emerged out of the chaos. As it grew, so too did the might of the Olympians. We created a world of peace, a world of prosperity, a world that lives in the shadow and safety of my mountain. A mountain that has come to be the absolute measure of strength and power. Now, on this day, that power is to be tested. The mortal Kratos seeks to destroy all that I have wrought. Brothers, put aside the petty grievances that have splintered us for so long. We will unite. We will stand together. And I will wipe out this plague. Olympus will prevail.
Your son has returned. I bring the destruction of Olympus!
The Titans will fail again!
And there you have it, folks. That is the story of God of War 3. Kratos is seeking to destroy all of Olympus. But in order to understand why he wants to destroy all of Olympus, you need to play God of War 1 and 2. But we're not going to worry about God of War 1 and 2 right now. This is about 3. God of War 1 and 2 will come at a later date. In order for Kratos to bring down all of Olympus, he has to fight the likes of Zeus, Hades, Hercules, and Hermes even. Since this game originally released on the PS3 in 2010, I have absolutely no problem spoiling it. Kratos eventually kills all the gods, and Olympus is now non-existent. And that about sums up the story of God of War 3. We're gonna go ahead and get into the gameplay now. But before that, I would like for you guys to watch this cutscene of Kratos chopping off Hermes' legs. It's pretty dope.
You seek to kill me when I have no way to defend myself? Not fair! But you have your own sense of honor, right, Kratos? And what has that honor brought you? Nothing but nightmares of your failure. Today you may defeat me, but in the end, Kratos, in the end, you'll betray only yourself. Leave me alone! Go away!
God of War 3 plays very similar to that of any previous God of War game that came before it, with a heavy emphasis on puzzles and combat. The puzzles are unique, such as this one right here. It's like Guitar Hero in God of War. If I had to say just a few words about the puzzles, it would have to be critical thinking. You need to think on your feet and quick, or else you could just die. When you start playing God of War 3, the introduction is fairly simple, the puzzles are very minimal, and the game will actually guide you through the introduction. But of course, with any game you play, it progressively gets more difficult, and every move you make needs to be precise and with a purpose. At various points throughout the game, I truly felt like Sony was trying to troll us, but then I remembered this is how God of War is supposed to be played. You'll have access to a variety of weapons in God of War 3. You have your Blade of Olympus, Blades of Exile, Claws of Hades, Nemean Cestus, and your Nemesis Whip. My personal favorite was the Nemean Cestus, which you acquire from Hercules, and I am using them right now in this scene. Each of these weapons has a very special ability. The Nemean Cestus can break through onyx, the Nemesis Whip can shock your enemies, the Claws of Hades has the ability to summon demons from the other world. The Blades of Exile, in my opinion, is your all-around weapon, and the Blade of Olympus is what you use when you're in rage mode. Another great thing that I like about this is that you have the ability to upgrade your weapons using the red orbs you collect by killing your enemies. But this is not all the weapons you'll have at your disposal. You'll also have Helios' head, Apollo's bow, and the boots of Hermes. This cutscene right here is one of my favorites. Have a look.
Save me now, as you once saved me from Atlas. And I promise to repay you in full. If you wish to repay me, tell me where I can find the Flame of Olympus.
Flame? You will never defeat Zeus, Spartan. You will forfeit your life in trying.
Of all the lives you should worry about, Helios, mine is not one of them.
Feel the power of the sun!
Wait! I can tell you that to destroy Zeus, you must step into the flame to receive its power.
You lie, Helios! Hephaestus told me the flame kills all who touch it.
And you believe him? That freak has fallen from the graces of Olympus!
That is exactly why I believe him.
My death will not lead you to Zeus.
That is where you are wrong.
Considering that this game is a hack and slash gore fest, it plays very similar to any other button masher game you can think of, such as Devil May Cry. And that's not necessarily a bad thing if you ask me. In the event that I was surrounded by enemies, all I had to do was spam attack, and I was able to find my way out, and I love that. The controls were very easy to learn and easy to master, and I did not notice any lag input. I should also add that yes, this is a PS4 game, but I played it on my PS5 and I used the PS5 controller. I don't think that really matters though, but yet the game still played flawlessly. At this point, there's really no point in me talking about the graphics. I feel like I have shown enough cutscenes here for you to understand how beautiful this game is. But I will say that I really like how the camera pans out just so you can see how small Kratos is in comparison to the surroundings. Another one of my favorites is when Kratos kills Poseidon. Just have a look, it is done beautifully. If I had to describe the music in just a few words, it would be dramatic and very orchestral. It is done perfectly with every single scene in this game. In some areas of the game, the music was purposely lowered so you can hear the sounds of your combat. I feel like Sony did this to get you more immersed in the gameplay. Overall, I feel like the music was done perfectly, very well orchestrated. Shout out to Sony Santa Monica Studios for putting this together. Absolutely amazing. 10 out of 10. I know what most of you are probably thinking right now. You did not include the sex scene with Aphrodite. Well, for obvious reasons, I cannot put that in here. I'm still trying to do right by YouTube. I'm not even sure if I should have posted this video because of how much violence and blood is in here. If anything, this video might be restricted. If it is, so be it. It took me roughly 8 to 9 hours to beat this game. It was rather short, but nonetheless, I still had lots of fun. It was quite refreshing after playing God of War Ragnarok to go back to see how far God of War has come in general. And to also see how much I've evolved and matured as a gamer. I'm not sure where Sony Santa Monica Studios plans on going with the God of War franchise, considering that the chapters of the Norse mythology are now over. I am very excited to see what happens next though. I have beaten God of War 3 so many times now, I truthfully cannot find anything bad about this game. I believe there's nothing in this game that I don't like. In my own humble opinion, if you should Google search the perfect game, I feel like God of War 3 should be among the very first titles that pop up on your search results. Everything about this game was perfect to me. Considering all that, I will give this game a water score of 5 out of 5 bottles of water. If you enjoy hack and slash gory games, I highly recommend God of War 3. Thank you for watching my video all the way to the end. I really do appreciate it, and I really do mean that. If you're new here, please consider subscribing to the channel. I love y'all, stay hydrated, and stay tuned for my next video.